Hi, this is CJ. Welcome to today's JiKook story, Tea for Two. It's a soft domestic sequel to Warm Tea and Soggy Chocolates. Jimin returns to Jeongguk's warm kitchen for their first date. Lemon ginger tea, noodles, easy laughter, and the kind of honest talk that makes room for a future. You can find the written version of this and all my stories on my Patreon at patreon.com/cjmoon, and the original video version of this story as well as dozens more on my main channel at youtube.com/@cjmoonwrites. All links are also in the description. If you're watching as well as listening, hit the CC button to turn on subtitles. YouTube can auto-translate and also auto-dub the audio from English into the language of your choice. So make yourself a hot mug of tea, get cozy, and let's begin.
It's been 23 hours since the front door smile that rearranged Jimin's whole week, and he's embarrassingly early. The sky can't decide between mist and drizzle, like yesterday never quite finished happening, and the pavement still smells like rain. He knocks, rubs his chilled fingers together, and tries not to rehearse conversation starters that sound like job. Interview answers. Jeongguk opens on the second knock, hair damp at the edges like he's just tamed it with wet fingers. The wide neck white tee is gone, replaced with a soft charcoal sweatshirt that makes his eyes look darker, warmer. His smile lifts high into his cheeks before he remembers how to speak. Hi. He leans on the door jamb like there's nothing cooler than being a little flustered. You're early. His eyes go wide. Which I love. Come in. Jimin hands him the bottle of wine he brought, tasteful but not too expensive, and steps into the familiar hallway, trying not to beam at the déjà vu of it. The tiled floor, the faint spice on the air, the domestic hum of this house that already feels like it remembers him. Yesterday, he'd stood here dripping rain while a stranger boiled a kettle and offered him lemon ginger tea like it was the most normal kindness in the world. Today, it's a first date, and his heart keeps doing optimistic little laps about it. Shoes off okay? He asks. Perfect, Jeongguk says, and waits while Jimin toes them off neatly by the mat. Put on music. Hope that's all right. Jimin nods as the warm jazz that spills through expensive speakers tucked in the corners of the room hits him. Cozy and classy. The kitchen is even warmer tonight. Utensils shine over the stove. Jars of spices sit in immaculate rows on the shelves. The big basket of squash and onions is still on the sideboard, proof that the person who lives here knows their seasonal produce. 2 mugs wait near the kettle. A lemon sits halved on the cutting board beside a knobby piece of ginger, its interior golden as a small sun. You remembered, Jimin blurts out before he can stop himself. Hard to forget when you looked that happy holding a hot mug. Jeongguk answers, ears tinting pink as he fills the kettle. Still okay for lemon. Ginger. Yes, please. There are other things to notice. How Jeongguk shoves his sleeves up his forearms when he works, the way he moves around without ever turning his back, like he's including Jimin in the rhythm of the room. But mostly Jimin notices how easy it is to be here. Not a sales call. Not a stranger's kitchen. Something that might be the start of a soft, ordinary miracle. I thought, Jeongguk says, setting a mug in front of him, we could cook together. If you want. I grab fresh noodles and some veg. We can wing it. Or we can order in, but I make a decent, pantry miracle, he laughs. I don't know what else to call it. Cooking sounds perfect. Jimin curls his hands around the soothing heat of the mug. Teach me your miracle. First lesson, knife safety. Second lesson, brag modestly until it tastes amazing. Jeongguk slides a board toward him. Third lesson, if you cry while chopping onions, it's not because of me. Copy. If I cry, it's culinary, not emotional, Jimin teases. They fall into an easy choreography, Jimin trimming snow peas and slicing mushrooms while Jeongguk works the onion down to sweet crescents. Between sizzles they talk. Jimin about the SSBCC's dream blueprint with light and space and warm sleep shelves. Jeongguk about the satisfaction of a good sauce emulsion and why garlic should never burn. Jimin tells the story of a ginger menace at the shelter who thinks gravity is optional and delights in the amount of volunteers it takes to rescue him from high places. Jeongguk laughs, eyes bright. You care like it's a superpower, he says, and Jimin tucks the words in the careful place where compliments live. At the stove, Jeongguk tosses onions until they sing. By the way, he says casual and not casual at all. Thank you for bringing wine and not, He gestures vaguely, grinning at himself. Chocolate like some people would have. Oh God, yeah. Jimin laughs, hand to his chest. I did almost pick up a box of my favorite truffles out of habit before my brain remembered your whole I'm allergic thing. He widens his eyes in mock horror. Imagine showing up to a first date with like a medical emergency in a ribbon. Jeongguk groans. Romance is dying in anaphylaxis. Terrible. He glances over, softer. Tea is safer. Tea is perfect, Jimin says, and means you are. They eat at the little table, knees almost but not quite touching, the noodles glossy and the vegetables bright and perfectly cooked. Every time Jeongguk laughs, the corner of Jimin's mouth wants to curve with him like it's being tugged by a tide his heart can't quite control. When Jeongguk asks more about the shelter, he listens properly. No polite head. Tilts, no glazing over. Jimin talks about the cats in their current cramped space, about the brochure sketches for the new build the charity he's trying to fund, about how kind people can be when you give them a real picture of what their donation does. It's easier to speak here in a warm kitchen than on a wet doorstep. It's a place that somehow feels safe to speak your hopes out loud. After dinner, they migrate to the couch with refilled mugs. Rain patters at the windows, though it's downgraded to a hush. I should confess something, Jimin says, brave in the way of small braveries. I nearly asked for your number yesterday, and chicken out at the door. Jeongguk's smile goes crooked. I nearly asked you to stay for dinner and panicked because I only had instant noodles and too much ginger. We could have made ginger noodles, Jimin says solemnly. A masterpiece. We're living it now, Jeongguk replies, equally solemn, then ruins it with the cutest scrunch of his nose, a gesture that makes him look a bit like a bunny. They both laugh, and some delicate thread between them tugs him a little closer. The quiet settles, kind as a blanket. Jimin's fingers find the seam of the cushion, worrying the stitches, not from nerves exactly, but from that tiny ache that appears when something good might be real. He's fallen for kindness before and paid for assuming it meant the same thing to both of them. He doesn't want to read a future into a soft evening, even if it's what he wants more than anything. So, what are you looking for? He asks, trying to be nonchalant. In general, with this, Jeongguk tilts his head, thinking. Something that has the option of a future, he says. Not a contract, just room to become something. He huffs a quiet laugh at himself. I'm not great at casual. I tried to be. I did the apps for a while, and it all felt like everyone pretending to be something they aren't. I don't swipe well. I'm too normal, I guess. His mouth quirks. I like regular life. Checking in, sharing dumb photos, making plans, and also canceling them because we'd rather be on the couch. If it's only a few dates, fine, but I want them honest. He glances over at Jimin, trying to gauge his reaction. I deleted the apps a month ago. I'd rather try for one real connection than 10 almosts. Jimin's shoulders loosen, and he smiles. I want honest, too, Jimin says. No games. I don't do well with being made to feel silly for caring. Slow is good. Saying what we mean is good. And not disappearing. He pauses, choosing the word. Consistency. Jeongguk's smile goes small and relieved. That sounds like me, Jeongguk said. Good, Jimin says, matching it with a smile, so wide his eyes scrunched up into little crescents. A quieter quiet follows, the kind that doesn't demand to be filled. Jimin traces a circle on the side of his mug. What's your tiny joy? He asks, sudden and curious. Like, the silly thing that makes a day better for no reason. Jeongguk thinks. When the kettle clicks right as the song hits a chorus, he says, then grimaces, fond of himself and a little embarrassed. And new socks. Jimin laughs, delighted. Kettle percussion. I'll allow it. You? Finding a perfect pen, and then losing it, and then finding it again in the pocket of a coat I forgot I loved. He tips his head. And lined. Up glasses on a drying rack. There's something so tidy about it. Noted JiKook says mock. Grave, like he's writing it down. I'm good with lining things up so clearly that means this is fate. The grin on his face says he's teasing, but his eyes, well, they say he believes every word. They sit with that for a beat, warm and easy. JiKook glances at the bottle on the coffee table. By the way, thank you for bringing wine, he says, rubbing the pad of his thumb along the label. Would you mind if we saved it? I want an excuse to see you again. Jimin's grin is instant. You don't need an excuse, but saving it sounds perfect. I'm enjoying my tea. Good. JiKook sets the bottle gently aside, like he's placing it on a future shelf. Okay, Jimin says, brisker now, palms sliding on his knees as if he's itching to move. If I sit here any longer, I'll fuse to the couch. Want help with the washing up? JiKook stands. I was about to threaten you with a tea towel until you offered, he jokes, offering a hand without thinking about it. Jimin takes it, their fingers tucking into place more smoothly than either of them expects, and then letting go just before one of them has to make an obvious decision about it. In the kitchen, they fall into another easy rhythm. JiKook washes, Jimin rinses and stacks. Steam curls up from the water and fogs the lower edge of the window. Raindrops slide down the outside in singles and pairs, though from the sound of it the rain has eased off. The music is still playing, lazy jazz with a soft brush of cymbals, the kind that makes the room relax. They move around each other without talking about it, a slow little dance. JiKook reaches for the tap just as Jimin leans in to rinse. Shoulders bump, then don't quite move away. An apologetic smile. A quiet, you're fine, spoken too close to be casual. Plates pass hand to hand with the smallest skim of fingers. Jimin steps sideways to stack bowls, and JiKook mirrors him, hip to hip for a heartbeat, then elsewhere like the music asked them to change places. A droplet of suds lands on Jimin's cheek, and JiKook lifts the corner of the tea towel, hesitates, then lets Jimin take it instead. Their eyes catch as the song turns to something with a sultry saxophone. It's nice, Jimin says, meaning the music, the steam, the way the kitchen feels like it's remembering them. Yeah, JiKook answers, meaning all of it. By the time the last clean glass leans in the rack, the counter is clear and the air is warm with the scent of citrus and soap. They stand there for a second, not quite touching, with the soft drum of the bass line filling in anything they don't say yet. Then JiKook flicks off the tap, and the silence that follows feels friendly, expectant. Rain's eased, JiKook says, listening to the windows. Do you want some air? We can go just as far as the corner and back, or a bit further if you want. I'd love that. They shrug into jackets by the door, Jimin's denim with a frayed cuff, JiKook's charcoal again, and the couple step into a street rinse clean. The air is cold and fresh, and the puddles shine with the reflection of streetlights. JiKook shakes open an umbrella he'd left by the stair and angles it so the fabric covers them both. Left or right? He asks. Left, Jimin decides, picking the slope toward town and his own apartment. Their shoulders brush once, and then again until it stops being accidental. They pass the laundrette, dryer steam fogging its windows, and the florist locking up with a handwritten list of seasoned flowers taped inside the glass. What's your birth flower? JiKook asks. Spirea. Jimin answers shyly. Isn't it the one that's used in weddings all the time? JiKook asks, a knowing grin already on his face. Jimin shrugs. What can I say? It suits me that I'm a hopeless romantic. What about yours? Tiger lily. JiKook replies, exhaling deeply. Please love me. The words were said so softly Jimin could barely hear them, but the meaning was unmistakable. He would. Oh, he knew he would. Beautiful, he breathes out as their hands nudge again. What calms you down? Jimin returns with his own question. Like, when your head is too full and you can't get your brain to stop. Hot shower, JiKook says. Running water, plus music I can sing badly too. Or I make something with my hands. Bread. Any cooking really, but I find the precision needed in baking really soothing. That explains your spice rack, Jimin says, amused. Hey, those little labels bring me joy, Jeongguk protests, but he's grinning. What about you? Walking. Or taking a bus to nowhere in particular and getting off 2 stops after I meant to. Chaos. Jeongguk says, approving. We balance each other. You get lost on purpose. I label the route. They slow by a row of small, curated shops, still lit for stragglers. The black lacquer frame on one window is polished to a high shine and framed with tidy topiaries. Truffles sit on satin like tiny jewels, each with a chalk. Script price in the kind of handwriting that makes numbers look expensive. Jimin hesitates. This is the one, he admits, cheeks warming. I only ever look. No entry tonight. Jeongguk decrees gently. For your heart and my immune system. Agreed. Jimin leans close enough to read a placard about single. Origin cacao, and then leans back again, resisting the gravity of confectionery. Maybe one day, when I'm rich, I'll come back and eat a whole row of hazelnut pralines out of spite. I'll make tea to restore balance to your digestive system. Jeongguk says, eyes laughing. They walk on. A bus trundles past. A window somewhere cracks open to let out the cheers of a sporting event on TV. Without fanfare, Jimin's hand finds Jeongguk's wrist under the umbrella. Skin slides against skin. Jeongguk turns his palm to meet it, and their fingers figure themselves out. Neither of them mentions it. The umbrella above them continues to tick with falling raindrops, the only witness. In a little square where the Saturday market sets up, the stalls are gone, leaving open space and shallow puddles. Stand there, Jeongguk says, pointing to a pool of light under a street lamp. I want to remember you exactly like this. Jimin laughs, shy and pleased, and lets himself be posed, a half turn, chin tipped down, hands in his jacket. Jeongguk snaps a photo on his phone, then steps into the light beside him, stretching his arm to frame them both. The picture glows on the screen. Close faces, bright eyes, softened edges where the mist caught the lens. Cute, Jeongguk says, helplessly happy. Send it to me. Jimin asks. I'll make it my lock screen, though I do have a habit of changing it pretty much every 20. For hours, he laughs. Coward, Jeongguk says, already typing. I'm guaranteeing us a full week at least. He adds a caption before he hits send. First. Date weather. Certified excellent. Jimin's phone buzzes. He opens the photo, and the look on his own face surprises him a little. Calm, a touch luminous, like he's decided something he's not afraid of. I like this, he says softly. Me too. They keep walking. The umbrella becomes unnecessary as the rain thins to mist, so they close it and carry it between them like a neutral third party. Conversation drifts toward next week without either of them forcing it there. If you're serious about helping at the shelter, Jimin says, the 2 things we always need are good photos for adoption posts and shelves. He smiles a little because the second word sounds exactly like the kind of problem Jeongguk would enjoy. Window shelves, specifically. Cats love a sun. Nap, and we have the glazing, but not the platforms yet. I could do both. Jeongguk says, almost sheepish with enthusiasm. My dad was a learn-by-doing person. I have a decent eye and better hands. Saturday. Saturday, Jimin repeats, letting the words settle where future. Shape things go. I'll sort permissions and snacks. No chocolate, of course. We need to keep everything sealed, so curious paws don't join in. Perfect, Jeongguk says. Tea and simple sandwiches. Tea and simple sandwiches, Jimin agrees, and a lint roller. Jeongguk grins, professional. Prepared. Jimin says pleased. They turn back, unhurried in the way of people who have decided not to rush whatever this is, just to enjoy what they have been graced with. By the time they reach the house again, the clouds have scattered enough for a few stubborn stars to shoulder through. The porch light turns the air to warm gold. They stop under the eaves where the last of the rain drips from an overfull gutter. For a moment, it feels like a scene that wants to be a kiss, like a film that would insist on it. Jeongguk must feel it too. He lifts a hand, hesitates, and then chooses courage. He rests his fingers lightly at Jimin's elbow and leans in just enough for their foreheads to brush. Text me when you're home, he asks, voice quiet but sure. I actually only live a few blocks from you, Jimin says, smiling. But I'll text anyway. Thank you, Jeongguk says, and there's that precise honesty again, the kind that's better than any cheesy line on a dating app. He steps back without making the moment bigger than it needs. Good night, Jeongguk. Good night, Jimin. Jimin takes the 3 steps down like he's done them 100 times, then looks back. Jeongguk is still on the porch, one hand on the doorframe, the other tucked into his pocket like he's keeping something safe there. Jimin takes the 3 steps down like he's done them 100 times, then looks back. Jeongguk is still on the porch, one hand on the doorframe, the other tucked into his pocket like he was trying to find his keys, but stopped. Jimin, he calls softly. Jimin pauses. Yeah. Jeongguk's grin tilts a little crooked, self-aware. Do you want to come in out of the weather for one more cup of tea? He lifts a shoulder. Terrible excuse, I know, but the kettle's probably still warm. Jimin laughs, because it's exactly the kind of excuse he was hoping for. It's an excellent excuse. They step back inside. Coats on hooks. Shoes by the mat. The house exhales around them, like it's pleased they both returned safely. In the kitchen, Jeongguk moves without hurry, refilling the kettle, setting out the lemon and ginger again. The music is still low in the living room, soft brass and brushwork, steady as a heartbeat. They don't talk much while the water heats. Jimin stands at the sink. Looking through the now dry window, he feels the heat of Jeongguk at his back before his hand rests on Jimin's waist. Can I say something that might be too much? Jeongguk whispers, lips brushing Jimin's hair. The feel of it sends shivers up his spine, and his pulse racing. Jimin leans into him, a smile tugging at his lips. You can. I don't really want a night to be over yet, Jeongguk says, simple and honest. I know it's early and I'm not. He shakes his head, a huff of a laugh at himself. I'm not asking for anything fast or complicated. I just like you here. If you wanted to stay a little longer, I'd be very happy. And if you ever wanted to stay, stay. I have a perfectly boring guest room and a door that shuts. His earnest gaze flicks to Jimin's, reflected in the dark window as he squeezes tenderly. No pressure. I'll be fine if the answer's no. For a long moment, Jimin watches him in the reflection. He's taller by an inch or two, probably perfect for tucking his head into Jeongguk's neck as they hug, which he now desperately wants to do. Jimin turns to face him. Jeongguk, misreading the move, steps back to give space, only for Jimin to catch his sleeve and tug him close again, fingers warm through cotton. For a breath right there, close enough for Jimin to see the way Jeongguk's mouth softens when he's trying not to rush a good thing. What if I don't want the answer to be no? Jimin whispers that Jeongguk's breath hitches. His smile turns helpless. Then tell me what yes looks like, he says, voice low. Jimin swallows, brave. Yes looks like this. You asking. His gaze flicks to Jeongguk's mouth and back. And me saying yes. Jeongguk's hand settles at Jimin's waist. Gentle, a question, and his other palm cradles Jimin's jaw, thumb light as a promise. Okay, he asks, the word barely a breath. Okay, Jimin answers. The first kiss is unhurried and sure, the kind that feels like stepping into warmth you've been heading toward all evening. Lemon and steam and a faint sweetness that's only them. Jeongguk doesn't press, he asks. Jimin answers with a smaller, surer second kiss, his fingers sliding to the back of Jeongguk's neck. The world narrows to shared breath and the soft drum of rain, to the steady way they find each other. They part by a breath, foreheads touching. Jimin laughs, quiet and a little stunned. So that's yes. Jeongguk's eyes crease. That's yes. They stay close, foreheads touching, smiling like they've both arrived somewhere they wanted to be. Please stay, Jeongguk says quietly, but for certain this time. Not anything fast. Just stay. T, a film, you hear. I don't want this to end. Jimin breathes a laugh that's more relief than sound. Okay, he says. I want that too. They move without hurry. Jeongguk flicks the kettle on again out of habit and then forgets about it because Jimin's hand finds his easy as a second nature. They're already learning, and they are kissing again. This time hungrier, deeper, until they eventually break apart in a giggle as the steam huffs out of the kettle yet again, as if it's getting impatient waiting for them to finish. In the living room, Jeongguk pulls a blanket from the back of the couch. It's heavier than it looks and soft with too many washes. They scroll aimlessly until they land on something gentle and low. Steaks, a film with quiet jokes and warm kitchens, and a cat that keeps appearing in doorways like it knows secrets. They end up in the same corner of the sofa by mutual gravity, Jimin tucked against Jeongguk's side, Jeongguk's arm finding its way around him like it was always intended to live there. The movie hums along. Every few minutes one of them says a small thing. "That's my dream teapot," or "I had that exact rug in uni." And the other answers like they've been sharing this commentary for years. The rain outside gets heavier again, but neither of them mind. It's only weather. At some point, Jimin's fingers slip under the edge of Jeongguk's sweatshirt to rest at the narrowest part of his waist. Just warmth, just proof. Jeongguk kisses the top of Jimin's hair without thinking. Jimin goes very still for half a second and then melts the rest of the way in. They watch the credits scroll like they're not in a rush to collect any endings. "Bedroom?" Jeongguk asks at last, voice low for no reason other than the hour and the softness of it all. "I spare everything. Or the guest room, if that's better. Or, if you want to go home, I'll walk you. Whatever makes you comfortable." Jimin tips his head back to look at him, eyes crescenting. Maybe this isn't wise, but he doesn't care. One thing is certain, it doesn't feel wrong. In fact, fewer things have ever felt more right. "Same bed, please. Just sleep." He smiles, fingers tucking a stray hair behind Jeongguk's ear. "Just sleep," Jeongguk promises. In the bedroom, Jeongguk opens a drawer and comes up with a neatly folded tee, shirt, and drawstring shorts. "These okay?" he asks, suddenly shy like he's offering something huge. "They're perfect," Jimin says, and they turn their backs like polite idiots to change, both grinning at themselves. Jeongguk leaves the door a little ajar. The nightlight in the hall is enough to make a soft stripe across the floorboards. He switches off the bedside lamp, and the room settles into the kind of dark that feels like it's holding its breath. They face each other at first, inches apart on the pillows, hands finding hands under the duvet. Jimin traces the lines of Jeongguk's knuckles with his thumb. Jeongguk matches his breathing without meaning to. It would be easy to turn this into more, but neither of them wants easy tonight. They want steady. They want a foundation solid enough to build a future on. "Thank you for asking me to stay," Jimin whispers. "Thank you for saying yes," Jeongguk whispers back. They shuffle once, twice, and then Jimin tucks his forehead under Jeongguk's chin like he knew exactly where it would fit. Jeongguk curls around him, arms snug at Jimin's waist. There's a little laugh that escapes them both at the same time. Quiet, astonished at how ordinary this already feels. Old married couple energy, Jimin murmurs, amused. "I make mean pancakes every Sunday," Jeongguk replies in his hair, which Jimin understands to mean, "I could do this for a long time if you let me." "Tomorrow is Saturday," Jimin reminds him, already drowsy. "And Saturdays," Jeongguk smiles against Jimin's temple. Their breathing evens out. Somewhere down the hall, the cooling kettle gives a tiny settling click. The house holds them like it's pleased with its new shape. They fall asleep that way. No rush, no performance, just two people in a bed, holding on because it feels right and natural to do so. Tomorrow morning, there will be pancakes. And every day, warm tea.
Thank you so much for listening. I know the world is a hard place right now, and I really hope this story brought a bit of comfort to your day. If you enjoyed the story, please remember to like and subscribe and turn on notifications so you'll be the first to know when a new story is released. You can find the written version of this and all my stories on my Patreon for free at patreon.com/cjmoon. I love you. I purple you. Sarange.